Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more buckshot testing. And today we've got another really interesting combo out here to try, because there's a potential that this might be the ultimate predator type of loading as far as buckshot goes. Or at least that's kind of the hope, because I definitely wouldn't mind having this as a predator setup, or at least a close range one, if it performs well, so we'll see what happens. But as for the shells we got out here today, I brought out some of these, the Federal Shorty Shotshells. They are a 12 gauge, 1 3/4 inch shell. That's a 15 pellet load of number 4 buck, moving about 1200 feet per second. Now, a lot of you guys wanted me to test the 4 buck out of this particular setup and choke combo we have today. I don't have any, regular full size 2 3/4 or 3-inch number 4 buck at the moment. I do plan on testing that in the future, but for now, these will be a decent substitute. They have performed well in our testing previously, so I'm definitely excited to see what they can do through today's choke combo. And for those of you who may not have seen it, here's what those tiny little shells look like. They are a really short 1 3/4 inch shell, and they are a buffered load of the number 4 buck, which I definitely think really helps them out. So definitely a pretty interesting stubby little shell, that's for sure. And as for the setup we've got here today to run them through, I brought out the Remington 1187 here with this choke. This is a Kicks Buck Kicker full choke. You can get them in light full and extra full, but this one's right in the middle of their lineup. And for my measurements, it comes out to be a 693 constriction, so right in that typical full choke type of range. And we've been doing a lot of testing with this choke recently, and it has definitely shown us some pretty interesting and really pretty good patterns as well. So I'm really curious to see how it does with number 4 buck and a shorty shell like that. Can this combo be kind of the ultimate 40 to 50 yard coyote or fox setup? That's kind of the hope anyway. If we see a good pattern, we'll have quite a bit less recoil, quite a bit less noise to deal with, and still a shell that's plenty good enough for all your average predator hunting needs. So we'll see what this can do with those Federal Shorty 4 bucks. But as for the test today, everything is going to be the same as we usually do it as far as buckshot testing goes. I've got the big sheet of paper set up at 40 yards. I also have the chronograph so we can get our velocity out of the shell, and some templates we can lay up over our results to get a better reference point as to how it would have done in some real life scenarios. So enough talking, let's go take this shot at 40 yards with this combo and see, do we have a decent looking predator hunting setup here, or should you maybe stick with your standard size shells? I don't know what we're gonna get, but let's go over here and take the shot and see what happens. Okay, so that round gave us 1107 through the chrono. The box does claim 1200, so we are a little bit below their claim. It's been so long since we've tested these that I honestly can't really remember what they were going back then, last time we tried them. So 1107 is just a little bit lower than what I was expecting to see, especially with a 28-inch barrel. Either way though, for a predator hunting setup inside of 50 yards, that's still going to be perfectly fine for you. But what kind of a pattern did we actually get? Let's go check it out and see what it gave us. Alright, now we're down here at our 40 yard paper, and this is what we got. Unfortunately, our pattern does look like it favored a little bit off to the right. I don't think that was me pulling it, so it just might be this combination of shell and choke. We have seen that kind of stuff happen before, but what we see down here is kind of a mixed bag, I think. If we look at our main central core area, the pattern over here, we definitely have a lot more pellets in there than we do the rest of the pattern. So it's definitely not, blown completely open or anything like that. I was kind of hoping to see a little bit better, or at least tighter of an overall pattern, but that half of the paper right over here on the right is still plenty good enough out to 40 yards for a coyote or something. Now outside of that, we have flyers kind of all over the place. As you can see, there's one all the way down there at the very bottom edge of the paper, as well as several more over here. And I did measure our 2 farthest points across, which was that bottom left pellet hole down there all the way up to that middle top right one up there, and it gave us at least a 34-inch spread, and that's only having 14 out of the 15 pellets on the paper. If I had to guess, the 15th pellet we're missing is probably off the right hand edge somewhere over there, so it could have been a little bit larger than a 34 overall inch spread. Now once again, our main core area is a little smaller than that and a little more condensed, and although it's not anything super impressive, it would still work for you out to 40 yards on a predator if you needed it to. But let's throw a couple templates up here just to get an idea of what they would have done in some more real life type of scenarios, and maybe we can come to a little bit of a decision here. Okay, so here's our 10-inch circle, and for a 10-inch circle, I do kind of like to line it up with the central point of our pattern to give it the benefit of the doubt as the best case scenario, and that would have given us 5 pellets. Definitely nothing outstanding for a 15 pellet load of 4 buck, but again, these are shorty shells, so that might be a little bit realistic. Now, obviously, all of your predator vitals are going to be within that 10-inch circle, and 5 pellets flying down range is not going to end well for them. So it is plenty good enough out to 40 yards to get the job done. I don't know that I'd really want to push it too much past there based on this pattern, but is it good enough? Yes. But let's throw one more template up here, that being the hog template, and see what it kind of looks like on an animal roughly kind of the size of a very large coyote. I wish I had a actual coyote template, but the hog template will still give us a decent idea of what we're looking at. Okay, and here's that hog template, and like I mentioned a second ago, it's definitely not a perfect representation of a coyote or a fox or something. They would be a little smaller than this, but at least it gives us some kind of an idea of what we're looking at. And if we roughly kind of line it up with our point of aim, on a hog, we would have had 8 total pellets within the template here. Out of 15 pellets, I mean, it's a little bit over half, so not great, not terrible necessarily. We would probably have a couple more if I scooted it over, but if you would have taken this shot on an actual animal, this is realistically what it would look like. As you can see, once again, it's still plenty good enough out to that 40-yard range, but I don't think I'd really want to push it too much past there. So kind of mixed bag here, I'd say. Good enough? Yes. A little disappointing based on what I was hoping to see? Yeah, kind of that as well. So I guess I'll leave it up to you guys and let you decide what you all think about it. Is it good enough? Is it disappointing? I don't know. Let me know. Okay, and here's the wad out of that shell, and as you can see, they are these kind of half-length, very short and stubby wads. So definitely a pretty interesting design, but it wouldn't surprise me if these are some of Federal's other style wads that they just hack off and make shorter. But there's nothing stuck down in there. You can see the 3 big dimples from where a couple of those pellets were actually sitting. It didn't really open up, but as stiff as this is, I wouldn't really expect it to, but there's no rips or tears or snags or anything weird going on here. It is pretty much what I would expect to see, and I think it probably did about as good as what it could have realistically done for being a shorty shell like this. Definitely nothing weird going on here that I think would have played with our pattern, but still pretty interesting to see. All right, y'all. Well, what did you think about that pattern right there? Is it as good as what a full size, 2 3/4 or 3-inch shell would be able to do? Probably not. But as for today's results, I think they're kind of somewhere in the middle. It's definitely not terrible necessarily, but I was hoping to see a little bit better at the same time. I guess kind of the happy middle ground here is that's probably pretty realistic for what a shorty shell can do. Plus, I don't think those were really designed for, that medium to long range hunting type of application. I think they're more so fun range plinking rounds and or home defense style rounds in a pump shotgun or something like that, where you can fit a whole lot more of them in your actual magazine tube. So I don't know. Let me know your thoughts about it down in the comments. Is that about what you expected? Is it a little better or a little bit worse than what you were hoping to see? Would you hunt with a pattern like that? And maybe is there another choke or shotgun combo you might want to see us test these shells through out at this, 40-yard or so range? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All that information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.